a competitive gymnast. She goes there about 17 hours a week. Plus she goes to school, and she just was inducted into the Junior National Honor Society. So she gets like straight A's. And it just reminds me that sometimes as entrepreneurs we feel like, oh, there aren't enough hours in the day and I can't get to everything I want to do. Can't get to my marketing because I'm so busy doing the work for the clients that I already have. How am I going to do marketing to get more clients? And then I watch her, and she gets up in the morning and she goes to school, and she comes home and she does her homework, and then she gets ready and she goes to gymnastics. Then she comes home at night and she has something to eat and she does some more homework and studies, and then she goes to sleep. She just does it. And it makes me wonder sometimes, like, what's our excuse? I wanted to tell you a story today because it's a story that I kind of forgot and have recently been remembering. On the way to gymnastics, we have to drive through this place. This is an old psychiatric hospital facility. It's closed down and abandoned now. I don't even know why it's still here. It was kind of reminiscent of sometimes how you feel when you just feel like you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't have your act together at all. So the story that I wanted to share with you today was the story of me. The story of us being me and my wife and my family, and how we do things. I've been talking to some people who have been asking me questions, and it's been helping me remember, why we designed our life the way that we did, and why I have my business the way that it is. And even though there's been some periods of struggle, we all have it, but do you just quit when it's a struggle, or do you persevere? The way you persevere and the way you come through it is to remember who you are, where your power is, and where it comes from. Because sometimes we forget, and when we forget, that's when we struggle. So this is the story of how I started it, and how there were periods that I forgot, and how I remembered. Maybe it's a typical entrepreneur story. I don't know. It's my story. My wife and I, we got married 19 years ago. We just had our anniversary last week. We wanted to be at home when we had kids. And so we bought a house back then, and we loved that house. It was just the most amazing house. It was so us. That's what we used to say. We're like, oh, this is us. It was charming. It was quaint. It was really cool. It was cozy and warm and welcoming and all of that stuff. And it was that traditional style that we just loved. We were designing our life on purpose is what we used to call that. And we had our kids there. Kindergarten was right around the corner, and we just knew, like, we love this house, but we do not want to be in this town and these schools and that environment. It just wasn't where we wanted to be. At that point is when we started to forget who we are, because we started to just react to external things rather than designing our life from internally. And so we were like, we got to get out of here, and we just split. We sold the house and we moved to Florida, and we were there for 5 minutes, and then we were like, Florida sucks, and came right back, and then we were just bouncing around Long Island again, and then we found a town that we liked. We found this house that we're in now. This house was supposed to be temporary while we figured out like what we wanted. Sometimes it's easy to just forget where your power comes from. The reason that we become an entrepreneur in the first place is because we've got this passion, this desire to share something of ourselves. Sometimes it's easy to be reacting to external things so much that you forget the internal part. You can be on autopilot reacting for a long time if you're not careful. All right, so what am I talking about today? Because this isn't really just straight up video marketing stuff. This is more cerebral and mindset stuff. I've just been having some conversations with people lately that have brought a lot of this to the forefront for me, and I realized that there are things that we can be doing in our businesses to move them forward the way that we want. Yeah, they're tactics, but they come from within us. We find the strength and the passion and the desire to do them because we have a desire to have this business in the first place. So when you lose sight of that and you're reacting to things outside of you, then what happens is you're not digging into that passion anymore, and now you're just going through the motions, affect an outcome, fixing something, putting a Band-Aid on something. And I think that sometimes I do that. Anybody who's an entrepreneur does that. at times. Go on Facebook and you see like everybody's got their act together, so it seems. But nobody's celebrating their down days. You know, everybody's just saying, I got a new client today, or I did this. Nobody's saying, I had a crappy day. Yay. No, nobody does that. You can find that spark again, that thing that made you be an entrepreneur in the first place, and then start doing the daily things you have to do because of that spark, rather than because you're trying to make something happen. That's when the magic happens. And that's the story of us, entrepreneurs. That's our story. You know, anybody can go and get a job so that they can make money, so that they can pay their bills, so that they can have a lifestyle or whatever. That's doing things to affect an outcome. We sometimes fall into that trap where we're doing things to affect an outcome, and that's when we start to hate what we're doing. That's when we start wondering, like, why am I even bothering? It could be easier to just get a job. But when we remember that there's a reason we became an entrepreneur, we have that passion, that fire, that burning whatever inside, and we remember that that's why we designed our life the way we designed it. That's why I work at home, so that I can be around for my kids, so I can drive her to gymnastics, so I can take him to soccer, so I can have dinner with them every night, to get them off the bus, so I can drive them to school, so I can kiss them goodnight. When we remember that part of why we're doing it, the outcome just happens, because we're doing the work from within. What I got from him, there wasn't a great deal of integrity. He wanted to bring that to the table, and he did. And it had a big impact because he delivered. You know, that's the brand promise. You've got to back it up. So we're going to be talking a lot about marketing again being, how do people find you? And branding being, what happens when they do find you? What do they think of you?